So this last one is stippling, and it's essentially we just make a bunch of dots. So you can see I have like a little ghost image of my ellipse that I just drew in graphite. Okay, but the actual dots I'm going to do with pen. Okay, so this is the one that really does take the longest, and I'm not going to do the whole thing just because this video would be really, really long. But I'll try to get as far as I can in a short amount of time. So stippling is just making dots, so that's what I'm doing. You know, and some people treat it like little tiny circles, especially if they do it in graphite, but this is why I like using pen more, is that your marks tend to be a little more consistent just because you're essentially making dots. And so I just kind of keep tapping the paper. And so what I'm going to do here at the bottom is just try to fill this form out, just so I can get the main form of that cast shadow. And again, I'll try not to get the camera to shake too much, but it's every time I touch this, it tends to shake the camera. And see how this takes a while? And so the bigger the pen you have, you'll get bigger dots. So let's say, for instance, if I'm using something like this, it's a little more like of a Sharpie tip. It's got a little bit of a brush tip to it, but see, this will make it go a little faster. So I'm still just doing dots. I'm just kind of dabbing it. It starts to fill in a little bit quicker. Okay. Or here's an actual Sharpie that hopefully works. Yep, there it goes. And so again, I can just keep making dots. So really the idea is you're not trying to make necessarily like marks or circles or, you're not really trying to control the direction of it. You're just basically touching the paper, and then whatever mark it makes when it touches the paper, which is typically a little circle, that's what you'll have, okay? And so then up here, and again, I'm just gonna kind of do it with this one. It'd be better if I started with pen first, like a 05, but since I'm trying to get this to not be too long and just give you an idea of how to get started, I'm gonna kind of skip to this one. So again, I've got like my mask dark, and I'm gonna curve it a bit to follow the contour. And again, this will definitely be the one that takes you the longest, because where I'm going to stop at, like you want to go darker and kind of flesh out the tones and values a bit more than what I'm going to do here. But again, I just want to show you how to get going. Okay, so I have my mask dark. I'll do this one for the light. Okay, so again, those are little teeny tiny ones. I'd kind of come back in and color those in a little more, but so as I'm trying to get my core shadow, again, I'm just going to put more dots, and I'm going to use this one that makes bigger marks, so it gives me bigger dots. And again, see, as I keep filling this in, it starts to look darker. And it just takes longer. And so really, this is the only time I'll really ask you to do stippling, is this one. Just because I want you to give it a shot, and it's not like it's that big of a drawing. Okay, so you can see it's getting darker. And same thing down here. This cast shadow needs to be a lot darker, so I would just keep going. Okay, and then if I want to show that little occlusion like I have over here, get in there really heavy. Really push that, okay? And so essentially I would just keep going. Like I said, I'm not gonna do the rest of it on this one, because I think especially at this point you kind of get the idea. But the more dots I put, the darker it looks, and then the less I put, the lighter it looks. One thing I will say, it is easier to kind of transition out sometimes with like the hatching or cross hatching, as you're building up lines and you're trying to get it to kind of round out and soften. That can be a little bit more difficult since you're using dots. You know, you just kind of, you can start messing with the density and then the, you know, the pressure, the size of the dot you're putting down. So you can get it to really go, you know, a very nice gradual fade out to light. I think it's a lot easier to do with stippling than it is with some of the other ones. But of course it just takes longer. Okay, so again, when you do yours, you know, obviously get a lot darker than I am here. And try to get all your values to match in each one. It'll be just, again, different styles and then different mediums, but you want it to be where if we, you know, were to take a photo and then kind of blur them all up, the values would look the same. Okay.